Oh, I know how many of you, mostly liberal and progressives, want to hear me completely lose my damn mind. You want to hear me pound the desk, say this is not our country anymore, talk of flag burning or revolution or secession or something, maybe joining a militia. No, I'm not going to do that. We rationally laid out to you the history of the Commerce Clause directly from Federalist 42. We read to you that taxing powers doesn't mean the power to spend outside the enumerated powers in the Constitution. We pointed to the fact that universal or single payer or state-run or whatever the name given to the plan is, always lowers the quality of health care for all and creates an aristocracy within the system. The government, people affiliated with government, big government donors. In other words, how do I support this without actually having to participate in it? That's in Cuba, Venezuela, England, France, Canada. We've given you the economic side about supply and demand, about how when there is a free market, free of ceilings and floors, that products are produced to meet the demands of all who consume in the market. But if you say a health care plan has to cover this or can't cover that, well, then those services and products won't ever be produced. If you say, hey, you can produce any health care coverage plan you want, people will buy what they can afford, what fits them, their desires, their needs, and what have you. We played you endless clips of audio of people like Dr. Donald Berwick and former Labor Secretary Robert Reich saying point blank, this is wealth redistribution. If you're young, you'll pay, but you won't get. When you're old, you'll be no longer necessary, and you won't get. This is about sick people, and we'll determine who's sick and who needs what and how productive they are to the state's business. John Boehner, who I've termed a monkey humping a football, was running around, Harvard bill. He couldn't even get the Keystone Pipeline done in the highway bill. The Democrats won on that one, too. And now you have, but he did say there'll be no spiking the football if Obamacare is overturned by the Supreme Court. Already, Democrats are saying, F you, it's constitutional biatches, all this other stuff. There, right now as we speak, liberal commentators, college professors, and politicians are sitting in their offices with the doors shut, giggling. They're laughing at you. They won. They have found another way to take more of your productivity, more of your property, more of your liberty. And they will redistribute it any way they please. You can work your whole life, but if they determine that somebody who has spent their life being promiscuous got some sexually transmitted disease, and it's more politically popular to treat that sexually transmitted disease than to treat you, then well, too bad. All the while forming their new relationships on how they won't participate. The SEIU is not participating. Nancy Pelosi had gotten a provision in there creating a special health insurance program for the speaker's staff, assuming she would still be speaker. As a matter of fact, the politicians have made sure, like Social Security, that they won't have to participate. The super rich will pay out of pocket, and anybody who can't afford to escape the system will be funneled into the system, and it'll be just like the public schools. For the longest time, so many people thought it was like the third rail of politics to discuss how public schools are funded. Kitchen table voters, center-right Americans, even some conservatives didn't want to hear your evil speak. when you said, have you ever really addressed how the public school system is being funded? That a family with one child and a family with 5 children pay the same rate for an education for all the children. Meaning, if you're the family with the one child, you take a huge loss for your education dollar. And if you're the family with the 5 children, you take a huge gain. This is how the healthcare system's going to be run now. Everybody has to buy it. If you can't afford it, it'll be given to you. So the non-participants will come out ahead. The participants will be behind. 50% of the American population has no federal tax liability. So as they increase the taxes for Obamacare, and we have a laundry list of them, which, by the way, didn't Obama say this wasn't a new tax? The Supreme Court upheld it because it is a new tax. The bottom line is now the recipient class gets more from the provider class. They call it justice, the right thing to do, going forward, what have you. You know what's funny about decades of precedent? Oh, well, hey, one more thing. Whatever happened to all the liberal voices that were saying that they didn't have faith in the court anymore and the court was too conservative and it was stacked with Republicans and Bush appointees and we can't trust the Supreme Court anymore, and the president was outwardly warning the Supreme Court? Now all of a sudden they love the Supreme Court again. Hell, it's Roe v. Wade. This is Roe v. Wade all over again. They love the Supreme Court again. They love John Roberts. They're probably sending bottles of champagne, fruit baskets, singing telegrams. Thanks for being one of us. This is hysterical to me. The Democrats were screaming and yelling and lecturing about the Supreme Court. All of a sudden, they didn't like the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court was out of touch. It was undemocratic. This is the problem with undemocratic and unelected people making decisions that affect millions of other people. And now they love the Supreme Court again. I heart the Supreme Court. Hashtag Democrat. They love it now. They love it. They love some Supreme Court justices. They can't get enough of it. Boy, I'm surprised they're not going to go right to the Supreme Court with amnesty. That's another one. Obama's going to go for amnesty now. Why not? It'll seal the deal on his election, on his re-election. They've now got what is going to eventually turn into single payer. Here's what I want you to do. Note to Mel Karmazin, drop all the employees from healthcare. This is a progressive liberal company by and large. I hope our CEO right now is gearing up to drop our healthcare coverage. When your company or your place of business or wherever you are drops your healthcare coverage, because now they don't have, why should your employer do it? It's mandatory. It's mandatory that you buy it. They don't have to provide it to you anymore. You got to buy it on your own now. Maybe some companies will keep it. I don't know. Maybe they'll just keep it for top-tier employees. But there's no reason for a business in the United States to extend health care coverage anymore. And the unionized businesses that are forced to through their union contracts will go into even more financial trouble like GM. But when your business drops your health care coverage, I want you to go over to that one coworker of yours. You know, the one with all the progressive bumper stickers all over the back of their car, Visualize World Peace and Free Leonard Peltier and Obama 2012 and Yes We Can and Forward and all that stuff. And they've got some liberal progressive slogan on their coffee mug and their cubicle is decorated with flair. They've probably got a gay pride flag, and if you ask them if they're gay, they'll say it's none of your business because they're just being ironic. They've got buttons and bumper stickers and little, I don't know, wishnicks and trolls with little tiny manufactured T-shirts on there with donkeys or whatever. Go up to that person and say thank you. Thank you. Thanks for getting our coverage dropped. Hope you got a plan. I mean, for yourself. I mean, I don't want you to worry about me. You obviously could care less about me. But thank you. Right now, as we speak, the people that engineered all of this are figuring out how not to participate in it. They are figuring out how not to participate. I want to give you a simple case in point. Ted Kennedy always said this was the dream. He fought bitterly for a generation, if not two, for single-payer universal health care coverage. Yet, towards the end of his life, when it was obvious that no amount of treatment was going to save his life, he was never, ever told that no amount of treatment would ever save his life. Day in and day out, he would collapse, go unconscious, and he was rushed to the best. People were probably pushed out of the way. Whatever Ted Kennedy needed, he got. Whether he could afford it out of pocket or the government spared no resource to save his life, even though it was not to be saved. He was going to die anyway. None of the people like him would ever allow themselves or their families to be treated as you will be treated. The funny thing about fairness, justice, social justice, equality, is what that really means is socialism is for the people, not the socialist. It means I'm too important. I'm the supervisor. I'm running things around here. I'm the one leveling the playing field. I can't participate in these things because the system is reliant on me. You need me. The people need Obama. The First Lady, Sasha Malia, Mama Robinson, Craig Robinson, none of these people are ever going to wait on the lines that you're going to wait on. The Pelosi's, none of these people are ever going to wait on the lines that you have to wait on. The think tank and bundling group, the Podestas, the Clintons, all that stuff, past, present, none of these people are going to wait. These lines are going to be for you. And the people that were on the outside, they're now on the inside at your expense. They didn't seek to make the system more amenable to everybody's budget by offering products and services with a whole myriad of options. They said there's only one type of plan, and you have to extend it to all people. So it's all things to everyone, which is going to be nothing to nobody except the aristocracy. When Michelle Obama said, we have to transform our history, it worked out for her. This is the United Socialist States of America, founded in 1913. The decades of precedent that they speak of, the traditions they speak of, are all an affront to the prior decades of precedent and the prior traditions. Between Woodrow Wilson and Franklin Delano Roosevelt, they threw off decades of precedent, threw off our history, threw off our traditions for the new way. It was only a matter of time, since there were very few people who were there defending the old way. This is the new way. The new way is co-opted, it is coerced, it is twisted. It has found newer and creative ways to re-examine or re-explain the Constitution. It has used the academic industrial complex and the people who taught the teachers who taught the teachers, to reboot our history, to ignore the first 100 years of our nation and our republic, and only focus on the second 100 years. That's it. I'm not going to freak out. I'm not going to give you the soundbite. I see this for what it is. I have absolutely no faith in John Boehner to do anything about this. If he does, I'll be pleasantly surprised. Maybe there's a hope that Mitt Romney will say to himself, yeah, I was the architect of mass care, of Romney Care. I can legitimately say that was a state program, and it hasn't worked out very well. And I've learned the lesson, and I will go to the federal government, and I will usher in, I will seek a Congress that will present me an immediate and absolute repeal of this health care law. The popular provisions, as Democrats say, like keeping your kids on your plan until you're 26 or all that stuff, that's already there. That's another thing very few people ever talked about. The pre-existing condition thing. Plans are bought and sold based on the total cost of the workforce, not the individual. And most states already had that. That's not any groundbreaking stuff. The groundbreaking stuff here is now the federal government has granted itself the power to compel a citizen to buy any product that the government now deems necessary. And now what is also going to happen is every single business producing a product or a service is going to try to frame their product or service as an absolute necessity. You thought Solyndra was dead? Solyndra is now going to come back, not as the name Solyndra, but something like Solyndra, and say it's absolutely necessary that all American homes are powered by green energy. The Congress might agree. The Supreme Court might agree. General Motors might say it's absolutely necessary for the health and strength of the American people that everybody drives a GM car. The Congress might agree. The Supreme Court might agree. Bottled water companies, vitamin companies, shoes that are shaped to reduce body fat may all find a way to convince. Why sell your products to the market when all you have to do is convince a few bureaucrats, politicians, and a court? You don't need a free market. You just got to get your product legislated. There you have it. No freak out, no anger, no animosity. Congratulations to the American left. You've given us socialism. We're right. They're wrong. That is the end of the story. The argument on this radio program cannot be broken. Sirius XM Patriot.